Sports Daily. I'm your host, Nigel Wilkins, along with Craig Sager. We have another jam-packed show for you guys today. We'll get through coordinator hires. We also have a recent one for Hebron Christian, Mike Davis. He has a rich football background. We'll get into that. We'll have Pilar on for our final segment, talking about a great story she did on ScoringTL.com featuring Harding Dennis, so don't miss that. And then obviously we'll break it down with Maxwell Borski in a few segments. Flag football, Corky Flag will be unveiled today, officially on the show, and we'll break down a couple big commitments coming up and also some top finalists for top-end players. But Craig, another big-time day. What's just your thoughts on this week as we kind of close right before we hit spring break?
Well, we've been talking a lot about basketball. We broke down the soccer rankings. We're looking at the favorites. To me, today, I'm really interested in track and field. So I have my blog coming out. It's a 2-week blog, so I've had a lot to think about. We've talked about Tommy Latham. We've talked about Gleaton breaking the sprint records. Today, I'm going to look at the girls' side, but also start making these predictions. Looking at the Cobb County Championships, Gwinnett, looking at the reclassification, who are the favorites this year? Because it's been hard to tell. Hughes is a perfect example. Like if you look last year, they had to dig themselves out of probably one of the biggest holes I've ever seen after the first day of the championships. They didn't do well in the field events. They didn't necessarily do well in the distance event, but then they pretty much swept the sprints. This year, they have Christian Langford, who transferred in. He's won the triple jump. So I'm going to look at it today. That blog will be up. We're going to start predicting who are the contenders.
Question for you, since you've covered track for so long. Are the championships for the county, is that like a good determinant to see, okay, this kid's likely going to do well in the tournament? Not necessarily winning, but, hey, they might have a top 3, top 5 finish.
So this might be wrong because I'm just speculating, but to me, I feel like the Cobb County Championships are a big deal for the individual because if you come out and you win this, you're the Cobb County champion.
Yep.
And it's a big deal to win your region also, but then those are, that's almost not as big a deal as placing first in sectionals, which is going to be, I guess, like 4 regions together before state. So I think it's a big deal. You're the Cobb County champion in this event. You're the Gwinnett County champion. I feel like that's why those are big for the individuals. But yeah, it's a good sign for a team like Marietta on the boys' side that just dominated the field. But obviously the Cobb County Championship, they dominated. No Gwinnett teams in there.
There you have it, 100%. All right, guys, we get started with our fast break headlines for today. Craig, I'll let you get us started.
All right, so this is out of the Athens Banner Herald. They do a great job spotlighting some athletes. This is North Oconee freshman Nolan Heron and how she's made an impact with the Titans this season. Senior center back Aubrey Peterson and their first-year head coach Chris Henry had heard a lot about a talented freshman coming up the ranks in the North Oconee girls soccer program. Of course, hearing and witnessing are 2 different things, but when Nolan Heron took the pitch for tryouts, everything they'd been told about was proven true. She lived up to the hype. In this story, it talks about how she'd been playing soccer since she was 4 years old, getting her feet wet with the recreational department squad before joining the Gwinnett Soccer Academy. 2010 elite clubs, playing soccer since she was 4. She said, soccer is something I started with my older sister Reagan just by kicking the ball around in the backyard. Her dad was a collegiate soccer player at South Carolina, so the gene runs in the family. Though her older sister no longer plays, but is still supportive. Her next goal is to set the single season scoring record at North Oconee. The record currently stands at 34 goals, set by now graduated Ava Caldwell, who also holds the school's scoring career record with 85 in 4 years. There's pressure, but it's a good kind of pressure, said Heron. Heron is now at 28 goals on the season with 3 games to go. The Titans are 11-2 overall, perfect 5-0 in Region 8 in Class 4A, and the season will wrap up on April 19th. So pretty impressive, just the impact she's been able to make. I mean, to stand out that much as a youth player, coming to a very talented team, and then almost setting the single season scoring record as a freshman, closing in on the 34 goals. That's as good as it gets a player to watch, and I think she's going to definitely set some big records.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to be a freshman already, making that type of history says a lot, and obviously comes from a great background. Her sister plays as well, but being able to do that on the big stage, I think, says a lot.
Yep, and being able to go in that striker position, just getting open for her teammates and finding different ways to score. Very impressive. I think that was Sarah Tidwell with the story. Great job at Athens Banner Herald. All right, headline 2. This was recent news from this week. Carrollton wrestler Madison Cooley was named an All-American after a national runner-up finish. Carrollton has won 2 state championships, I believe, in girls wrestling, one of the well-established programs since the sport was introduced. She finished as a national runner-up, also known as the High School Nationals, making a huge milestone for the girls wrestling program. In many ways, head coach Alan Newton refers to Cooley as a trendsetter for the team, even though she would likely be the last one to boast about it. She's a very humble superstar. In their post, Carrollton Trojans Athletics said, Cooley, a junior competing in the 152-pound weight class, finished as a national runner-up. At the Nationals, she entered the tournament unseeded and pinned opponents from Mississippi, the number 2 seed from Wyoming, the number 3 seed from North Carolina, en route to the finals. The tournament features more than 6,000 wrestlers from 47 different states all across the divisions, elevating her to national rankings and watch lists. She's also the first female wrestler from Carrollton High School to participate in this tournament, making her a pioneer for the program. It's pretty incredible, and the good news, she's only a junior. She's a 2-time state champion in Georgia, and now that is a huge accomplishment for her.
Talk about just real quick how good Carrollton wrestling has been. I mean, last year they won their first ever championship. I mean, they're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, and what's good about them, they've also hosted a lot of events, and you're starting to see in the Carrollton area, Bremen's very talented. Their program is on the rise, and I think they've benefited from these head-to-heads with Carrollton. We saw a new team, I think maybe it was Lumpkin County this last year. Another team was able to win that state title. In my opinion, though, Carrollton's probably had the best 3-year stretch since it was introduced. But if you look at who's been the best wrestler in the state over this time, it's got to be Madison Cooley.
100% agree. I mean, that All-American obviously title obviously shows that, and her being the 2-time state champion is crucial. All right, I'll take headline 3. Sitting at headline 3, we have Cobb County Roundup. Allatoona stamps 11th straight victory. Great job by them. Cooper Underwood, he completed a complete game shutout, allowed 1 hit to lead Allatoona to his 11th straight victory, and a 7-0 victory over Cass in Region 7 4A play. Anthony Planeta, he went 2 for 5 for 2 doubles and drove in 3. Sam Tomzak, he went 2 for 3 with the RBI single, and Will Elms went 2 for 4 with a double, and Ben Harrison had an RBI double. Whitefield Academy ended up beating Mount Bethel Christian 7-5. Andrew Wade went 2 for 3 with a 2-run tie-breaking home run in the bottom of the 5th inning and earned the win on the mound to lead the Wolfpack to their 8th straight win. Lofton Brown and Jackson Wallace went 2 for 3 with the RBI single. You also had McEachern with a 4-0 win over Osborne. Chubb Jones Jr., he hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 5th inning to help lead the Indians to a win over the Cardinals in Region 3 6A play. Adrian Islas, he also had an RBI single in the bottom of the 4th inning. And then you had a couple soccer results. Marietta beat Riverwood 4-0. Kevin Rivera had 2 goals to bring in the season total to 22 and a record assist to lead the Blue Devils to a non-region victory. We also talked about, obviously, Kevin Rivera being the Wendy's Player of the Week, so shout out to him. And then Campbell beat Harrison 2-1 in that victory. They won in penalty kicks and extra time to secure the Region 3 6A victory as well.
All right, headline 4, go to Gwinnett. Ashley Ross leads Duluth to victory. The Duluth girls soccer team rolled to an 11-3 victory over Shiloh on Tuesday. Ashley Ross led the Wildcats with 7 goals and assists. You also have Mountain View winning 4-0 over Discovery. That was on Tuesday to clinch a state playoff berth for the 4th straight season. For the first time in program history, the Bears, 4-2 in the region, and a number 3 seed for state, got 2 goals from Bree Gonzalez and 1 goal each from Nandy Carpenter and Zana Issa. Kayla Zarkarias and Taylor Fagley added assists. Goalkeeper Emmy Shui recorded the shutout. Mill Creek won 6-0 over Collins Hill in Region 8 Class 6A, finishing as a runner-up with a 5-1 record. They were led by Allie Stokely, London Crawford, Kylie Williams, Ari Guevara, and Bella Segston all had goals in that game. GAC beat White County 10-0. You had Wesleyan with a 7-0 win over Mount Vernon as well.
There you have it. All right, headline 5. I'll take this one. Hebron Christian hired a new coordinator to the helm for them. Obviously, Michael Davis is going to be the one there. He arrives at Hebron Christian after 4 years at Rabun County High School, including the last 3 years as the head coach there, where he led the Wildcats to a 28-9 record. Under his leadership, Rabun County secured a region championship in 2022 and advanced to the state quarterfinals in both 2022 and 2023. Here it is per quote. Coach Davis brings a wealth of experience and proven track record of success to our program, said Dallas. His ability to develop quarterbacks and design explosive offenses speaks for itself. We are excited to welcome him to the Hebron family and look forward to the impact he will make on our program. His resume also includes a remarkable 22-year tenure at Calhoun High School from 1999 to 2021, where he played key roles in establishing one of Georgia's most successful high school football programs. As offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, he led Calhoun to 3 state championships in 2011, 2014, and 2017.
Yeah, and now when you look at Hebron Christian, obviously winning the state title last year, you got Kenny Dallas taking over. We throw out the term sleeping giant a lot, but do you feel like they can be that new dominant, maybe dynasty, but just that team to be in the private classification?
I think they can. I think it's going to be intriguing to see kind of how Coach Dallas, just establishes kind of his system, his offense, his scheme with those players. And obviously they have a few that's transferring out. Sion James is obviously one of them that ended up leaving. I want to see kind of just who's going to be the next players for them. Jarvis Martharin is another one that's going to be leaving after 2025. So I think there's definitely an opportunity. I just want to see with this new scheme, this new coaching staff, how quickly they can get it to front.
And with their new coordinator, real quick, Michael Davis comes with a lot of experience. Last year, Hebron was very balanced offensively. He's obviously coached quarterbacks at a lot of these schools. What are they looking like in terms of the balance next year, you think, offensively?
I think it'll be the same. I think you'll see a little bit of the pass, obviously, with their quarterback in the helmet. And I think Devon Caldwell comes back another year. So you got a really big bell cow back that you can give the ball to. So I think kind of the same as before, a little bit of throw, a little bit of run. And I think they're going to be a balanced bunch.
And when you called that game in the Corky Flag against Thurl, I actually sat behind Devon Caldwell's mom. I think he had 4 touchdowns in that game.
He did.
Could have had a lot more, just really impressive, and obviously he's returning. I think he's going to be a scoring machine this year.
100%. All right, guys, as we conclude this segment coming up, we will talk to Max about the latest and reveal the Corky Flag, Dave Hunter flag football matchups for this year.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Remember that you can catch the show on the Let It News First app, also on CBS Sports local streaming app, Zeem, and on the Peachtree Sports Network via YouTube TV. And remember that the show is always powered by IBEW Local 613. All right, we have on Max. He wrote a great story on ScoreATL.com. If it's not up, I know it's going to be up soon. But you obviously previewed the matchup. So we got some pretty good ones, Max. I don't want to ask which one you're looking forward to first, but I'm going to ask the first one. Harris County, versus Milton. What's your thoughts on that one?
I mean, there's a bunch of great players on the field. I mean, this event in general, the second year we're doing this event, we have 3 of the 4 state champions from last year in our event. It's just going to be a great time as well. But at Harris County, I think it all starts with Madeline Cawley. I think she has been unreal for them. Last year, she had over 3,600 yards passing and over 1,200 yards through the air to go along with 58 passing touchdowns. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Madison was in Georgia Elite, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she dominated. Those were such exciting games. She's able to buy herself time, hurt teams with her legs. But when I look at Milton, they were very impressive last year. And I think the thing that stood about them, they were like the youngest team we covered. I think Milton's going to be very talented this upcoming season, has some of the best receivers that can go up and catch jump balls. I forgot who it was, but they compared her to C.J. Wiley. That was from Luke Nichols' dad.
Yep, I remember
So I think that matchup right there, the defending state champs, Harris County, going up against Milton, those are 2 teams for sure.
And I think along with what Milton has, I think Caroline Marshall and I think Alana Calhoun also can make some big difference makers for them as well this season.
I think Caroline, was she one of the finalists, I believe it was?
She was, and I believe Madeline Cawley was as well.
Miss Georgia, right?
Yes.
So when you think about that matchup, obviously we know how great they can catch the football, obviously how great they can throw it. What do you think would be the keys maybe early now? Was it getting pressure on the quarterback, creating turnovers? Like if you had to just throw an early thing we should look out for, what you think?
I would say it would be the Milton defense trying to stop Cawley and what she could do, because I think she's so versatile on offense. I think it would just be we'll have to see what they can do on defense to stop her.
That's a good point. And then you had this stat in here. So Caroline Marshall and Elena Calhoun, the 2 receivers returning for Milton, had 46 combined touchdowns last year, 201 catches. That's getting it done.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that right there is unreal. So that's going to be obviously our first matchup. That will be a lot of fun. Then we have Greenbrier versus Blessed Trinity. Blessed Trinity, we know how good of a program they are. But Greenbrier, how about them, Max? 21-1 overall record last year. Just how good do you think they could be next year?
I mean, they finished last year as in Max Prep's top 5, I believe. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the country for flag football. I mean, it goes along with, you got Elias Silver, she recorded over 1,000 yards receiving last year, as well as 21 touchdowns on 78 receptions. So getting her back will be great. And then they'll have to find a new quarterback with Kenzie Horton graduating in the spring, but they should be ready to go in the fall.
100%. Now, what's your thoughts just on BT? We know how many great players they had. Hannah Daly, you look at her and what she was able to do. Maggie O'Sullivan's another one that's really good. Just what's your thoughts on that team?
Another player I'd like to highlight for Blessed Trinity is Addie Spack. I mean, she's returning after throwing for 3,300 yards a season ago, also with 45 touchdowns, and completed almost 70% of her passes. She's just very efficient for the Titans.
100%. What's your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And with Greenbrier, I was so impressed with just what they had to go through last season, playing the first game in our Corky Flag against Allatoona, tremendous program, dealing with that hurricane that went through. I mean, they were scrambling just to show up, ended up playing a very close game and then winning it all. That was a huge accomplishment for them. I think they're going to be right back in it, probably get off to a faster start this year. But you saw both these teams play last year. What do you think just about these first 2 matchups we've highlighted, and then specifically Greenbrier BT?
Yeah, I mean, Greenbrier, shout out to them. I mean, you only had 1 loss and you dealt with the whole hurricane thing. They were never really rattled, right? And I like just their versatility they had on the offensive side of the ball. They ran such great plays. I thought that made them different. And kind of the same with BT. You've seen their flag football coach, Hartwell. Obviously, he was named Flag Football Division III Coach of the Year for good reason. I mean, that was a team like when you have Spack and Sullivan and Daly, so many ways you can come at you. Like, how do you slow down that prolific offense? So I'm curious to see what they're going to look like this year. I know they're going to replace a couple pieces, but how would that kind of look moving forward for them? I think it's going to be interesting. But I think it's going to be some great matchups.
Yeah, and I mean, so far these 4 teams, we know a lot about the star power offensively. I think Max was right, though. What's the defense going to look like? Because, I mean, there's some unstoppable players so far.
I mean, along with Spack for Blessed Trinity as well, they have Maggie Sullivan and Hannah Daly, like you guys have mentioned, but they combined for 2,400 yards last year.
Yep.
2,400 yards, 30 touchdowns, and over 230 receptions. I mean, those are crazy numbers.
That's what I'm saying. And so that was basically the approach. Get it to your playmakers and let them do work, and that's what they did. All right, our next matchup, Pace Academy versus McEachern. Obviously, Pace Academy had a great year. I think we had their coach, Max, if I'm not mistaken, in Georgia Elite Classic, coaching up one of the girls' teams. But they come back, they went 21-4, perfect 7-0 region record. But then they played McKeecher, won their first ever flag football state championship. We know they had Miss Georgia, obviously, as well, what she was able to do, and Chelsea and Joku. But just what looks next kind of for them?
So what jumps off the page first when you talk about McKeecher is where would that production come from this year after replacing Chelsea and Njoku? Because it's going to be very hard replacing Miss Georgia. I mean, she was so productive last year, and she was honestly, I would say, probably the best player in the state. I mean, she won our award, so yeah. And I mean, they're gonna have girls like Desiree Holly and Ava Cousins also, who might step into that quarterback role this year as well. But those two on the offensive end combined for 2,300 all-purpose yards, 44 touchdowns, and really give McKeecher some familiarity this year.
Yeah, for me, it's Jake Burdoff. Last year, rightfully so. I mean, he won Coach of the Year. This is a real challenge for him. I think he was so creative with the play call. He did a great job using the center who snapped the ball with Chelsea. So Chelsea's rolling out, the center might slip out for a screen. That's what made them really dangerous. They're going to have new pieces, but I think he's such a good coach. We could see maybe a much different looking offense, at least early on in the season while they figure it out. But I have no doubt they'll be able to be creative, and they've got an unbelievable coaching staff.
Yeah, they do. And like you said, probably the toughest challenge there for Coach Bergdorf. But like you said, getting all the accolades, I think he's ready for it. And I just like his system. I've gotten to just talk to him a few times, and he really is very detail-oriented, and he always makes sure he dots his T's, crosses his I's. I mean, he does a really great job with that program, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do this year. But our final matchup, Pope versus West Forsyth. That'll be another pretty good one. That's going to be the nightcap to kind of conclude us off. Max, what's your thoughts on that one? I
mean, Pope is coming off their first state championship last season where they defeated Pace. So Pace is going to have to come back and try to bounce back after that loss in the state championship. But they finished in the top 15 in the Max Preps flag football rankings at the end of the season, so they'll be ready to roll this season.
Yeah, Pope, I mean, the last 2 years, I think they've been in the finals both times. West Forsyth, interesting, though. They won that state title 2 years ago. Last year, replaced everyone. Their record wasn't good. I think that's also because they played such tough teams. This year, though, I think that's the year where they're back to form. Just having to learn a lot last year. Not really having a bad season, but just having to go through a little growing pains, replacing a lot of players, playing the stiff competition. That's another great matchup. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think that one is, as you guys both pointed out, you got one team that is trying to, basically, get back to where they were before. Like you said, talking to their coach, same thing. I mean, they're going through, losing so many pieces, trying to get the young girls ready to go. And then Pope is a team that's consistently made runs in the playoffs. It's consistently been, that team to beat as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of those two parallels go head to head.
For sure. And this year, West Forsyth, like you said before, I mean, they're replacing 13 seniors that are just graduated and only have 9 returning players coming back. And so to get your first test this season against a Pope team that has been well equipped and has made these runs in the playoffs before, it will be a great test to start the season.
100%.
Yeah, and then with West Forsyth, I mean, they're so talented right now. You look at soccer, what they're doing in lacrosse. I feel like they've got some young players they can get to come out to flag football. It's a great opportunity for them. They just got to work the hallways a little bit, and I think it'll be fun.
I think that's a great point, Craig, to talk about, obviously, the lacrosse team. How many can they get maybe from there to kind of play that fall sport and keep them kind of ready to go? Because their lacrosse team's, off the chain.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we see. A lot of these teams are built by one specific sport, but I mean, you add some soccer talent in there also. They have so many great athletes at that school already. I just think it's about trying to replace all those upperclassmen. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And a real quick wonder answer, which matchup is your favorite out of all 4?
That's such a good question. I would say the Harris County one. I would say I'd like to see what Milton can do against Cawley, and we'll see what happens with that defense as well.
I think, probably Greenbrier BT. I think that's such an even matchup. I mean, those teams that don't turn the ball over much, both returning the core pieces, and it should be interesting.
Yes, it should. All right, guys, that's going to conclude us for this segment. Coming up right after the break, we'll get into the latest coordinator hires and talk about some of the ones throughout the state.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So we will have some news here in just a moment as we pull up the tweet. But I do want to break down just, Craig, you've known the Cedartown program for such a long time. We know obviously Coach Abrams is now at Bowden. Just can you quantify a little bit just how big of a hire that is for their program? We know how good they are, 3-time state defending champions. I know we talked about it a little bit, but just why is that such an important hire for their defense?
Yeah, well, what I liked about Coach Abrams at Cedartown, the way they won games was physicality, toughness, speed, and just playing together. They weren't going out there trying to trick you. You had to line up and beat them that way. Very physical team. And then that's exactly how Bowden has been successful, winning 3 straight state titles. I mean, you look at each of their state championship games, they're getting better as the season goes on, and they're just imposing their will in the championship. These long 13-play drives, just running the ball right down teams' throats. Coach Abrams now, he's coming after, I mean, really battling at Cedartown with programs like North Oconee, Cartersville, playing so many tough teams, getting it done like that. As the head coach, now he's going to be the defensive coordinator for a Bowden team that already just has that identity to get it done in the weight room, be a physical team. I think you're pretty much adding a mastermind, a great leader to the defensive side of the ball. That's scary because if you look at Bowden's offense, they've been record-breaking the last 3 years. That gives them a great opportunity to go for a 4th straight.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously another big one was Jason Tester. He's obviously the East Side's new defensive coordinator. We know how great of a program they've had in the past. Jaden Barr, Christian Gass, obviously going toe-to-toe with North Oconee, a very memorable game that we can never forget. But he was hired in 2021 following Ben Hall's departure from Oconee County, compiled a 12-20 record. Following Branch made the playoffs in both 2023 and 2024, but had 3 consecutive losing seasons for the first time in the school's inaugural 3 seasons in 02, 03, and 04. So he's obviously going to be the new DC there. I think it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do as well.
For sure. And he's got the head coaching experience also. I think what we're seeing, I mean, head coach is obviously an important role in high school. You got to manage the program, do all this other stuff. But, I mean, coordinator, it's so important. And you've got, I think this year more than ever, guys with experience at the college level, experience head coaching, winning state championships, now going to the coordinator role. I think when we talked to Bill Stewart last week, he's just, I think he's just content to be back in that coordinator role. I mean, he's been a head coach at North Gwinnett. He's been at Georgia Tech, having a great time. Now he just gets to focus on calling plays. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get better than that for coaches like that.
And how about just one side of the ball? Like you said,
Exactly.
instead of you being the head honcho of everything, no, I got my defense and I get to coordinate it. I think that's perfect and a really good fit as well.
Yeah, and I think what also is probably true with Coach Stewart this year, obviously having maybe less of a role, but he's going to be coordinating now. He's not going to have to travel as much as he did last year with Georgia Tech, going over to Ireland, going all over the country. Mm-hmm. He's going to get to play in these outstanding rivalry matchups in that region in Class A Division I. I think that's a very exciting hire to see Coach Stewart back in the coordinator role. He's going to be happy with that, at least for the next few years. He might want to return to head coaching at some point, but I think it's just good for him to get back at the high school level, and I think he's going to have a really fun year.
All right, let's get to the breaking news now that we have for the show. Obviously, West Hall, their coach, stepped down. Coach Montgomery, he said, "It is with a heavy heart that I formally submit my resignation as the head football coach of the West Hall Spartans. This decision was not an easy one, as the last 12 years at West Hall and 7 as the head coach has been incredibly fulfilling. Coaching this team has been an honor, and I am grateful for the opportunity to have worked with such talented and dedicated athletes. Watching them grow, both on and off the field, has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my career. I want to extend my deepest appreciation to the players, coaching staff, administration, and parents for their unwavering support throughout my entire tenure. The camaraderie, hard work, and passion within this program are truly inspiring, and I have no doubt that this team will continue to achieve great success in the future. This was a personal decision and had total support from the administration in my entire tenure. I will always have a special place in my heart for Sparta. Again, thank you for the unforgettable memories and also for allowing me to be a part of this incredible team and community. Once a Spartan, always a Spartan.
Yeah, so that's another opening. Definitely late in the game. We'll see where he ends up, and then who West Hall's able to bring in. They had a very challenging region last year. I think that was Class 3A, was it? They ended up going 0-5, but they had I think 4-1 start last season. The region was just very tough, but I'm sure he'll end up. We might see him take a coordinator job, but not many openings left in terms of the high school coaches.
No, Max, I do want to ask you, say it's a hot topic, but just out of all of these hires, you think not on the head coaching level, but the assistant coaching level, which can be the most impactful of the ones we've still talked about today?
I think it's hard to look past Bill Stewart and him bringing that experience and his pedigree that he brings over from where he's been at in North Gwinnett and where he's bringing his talents over from Georgia Tech as well. I think it's hard to look past that as that not being the top coordinator hire in the offseason.
Yeah, for me, I got to go with Levi Brown of Walton High School. So he's a younger coordinator, and when you look at Walton's last few coordinators, obviously with Tyler Jones, tremendous success, leading them to that state finals 2 years ago. We see what he's done at Cambridge now as an offensive mastermind. Coach Brown has a great resume. I mean, he's been on the staff at Valdosta State, Troy, Faulkner University. He played at Troy. He ended up actually playing for the Buffalo Bills for a little bit. He's a younger coach, brings a lot of energy, and Walton has, in my opinion, I think they've probably got the most talented receiving group they've had this upcoming season. Guys like the Ward brothers. Obviously, they got Jude Cascone back at tight end. They've got a lot of skill guys and then a lot of speed with some underclassmen freshmen that we've seen in Georgia Elite, we've seen in the track and field. I think he's going to give Walton a much different look offense this year, working with Coach Bruner, and then just the track record that the Walton coordinators have had to go on to have head coaching opportunities in the future. I think he's going to be able to make a big impact.
You think that's one of the best jobs in the state that no one talks about?
Oh, for sure.
OC at Walton?
Yep. And we saw Chris Hirschfield a few years ago before Tyler Jones. He ended up going to East Paulding to take that head coaching job. I think this is Levi Brown's opportunity. And, I mean, Walton, they've been a team that is very creative offensively. Last year, I felt like they didn't have as much creativity. They were a little predictable. That's why they had really huge problems with the turnovers in games like the Norcross one. The Roswell game, I think, had about 9 turnovers combined in those two. So this is an opportunity for them to be creative, but, I mean, really start something fresh. I think this is going to be a much different looking group. They always have great offensive line play at Walton, too. Not necessarily guys that are going to go big power 4, but, I mean, Ivy League guys on the offensive line. I think this is going to be a very well-polished Walton offense. We'll get to see them week 1.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's going to conclude this segment. Coming up, we will talk to Max about the latest articles he's working on and also talk about some of the big-time recruitments going on with some of the top players in the state.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So now we're getting into Max with some of the latest stories he's working on. We're going to start with football and then get into, obviously, his baseball story and what he's working on today as well. I know he just did his Corky Flag football story. We've obviously talked about that. But first, I want to start, obviously, with major news. Hayes King announced his top 6. I think you just said he got crystal balled. Just what's your thoughts on him, obviously, in the top 6 that he has?
Well, he just announced his top 6 to Miami, Florida, Georgia Tech, Texas, Florida State, and Alabama. I think he's a guy that can just be a difference maker for a team, whether he's protecting your quarterback or whether he's doing stuff on the offensive line. I just think he's a big-time playmaker for them.
I think he's a tweener. It's going to be really interesting to see what the next school does with him. And the reason I say that is because he's listed, if you go to Rivals or you go to, I think it's even on 3, he's listed as an offensive lineman, right? Obviously, you guys can see how big he is, right? But I think what makes him special is that he can also catch passes, right? So he can also be a tight end. He can block. So, like, what is his position at the next level? And right there you see 4-star athlete. So it's really intriguing because if it is a Miami, if it is a Texas, if it is a Georgia Tech, if it's any of those schools of Florida State, what is he going to play at the next level? And I think that's probably the most intriguing thing about Hayes King is because he's so versatile. He can block on the offensive line and contain on the outside and really be an effective factor in the running game. But he also can catch passes and be dangerous with the ball in his hands. I think that could be the biggest question around his recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, I put him on the All-State team last year or Mr. Georgia for the season. And when I was looking at his stats, I mean, he'd have games where he made a huge impact catching the football. He'd even take carries. I think he threw a touchdown pass one game. He's super versatile. And he was a clear leader on that team last year where they're going to call his number. They're going to put him in positions. He's a huge mismatch. And then the size is pretty remarkable. I think he's up to around 300 pounds now. He can line up as a tight end, but to me, I feel like if he can show his blocking prowess this season, I mean, that might be a role for him where he's going to be more of a blocking tight end, but, I mean, he can go out and make plays. I just think with that size, you want to take advantage of that up front in the trenches.
For sure. And obviously, I'll ask you about another recruit here in the second match, but I do want to bring up Deuce Geralds, who's one of the best defensive linemen we have in the country, not even the state, the country. And he announced his top 10, which obviously includes Clemson, Oregon, Ohio State, LSU, Florida, Oklahoma, Michigan, Miami, Ole Miss, and Georgia Tech. I mean, the kid is explosive. You go look at his stat line, absolutely balled out towards the end of the season. But what makes him special is how effective he can be rushing the passer and also on the defensive line. He had 8 touchdowns last season for the Collins Hill Eagles running the football, but he's equally as effective. And I got a chance to see him up close when they played against Mill Creek, and I was thoroughly impressed. Finished that game with 11 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. He had a standout game in the opener, the big upset, obviously, against Grayson. And now when I believe he had 10-plus tackles in that one, 4 sacks, 4 TFLs. The kid is great. Whoever lands this kid is getting something really special at the defensive line spot. So can't miss prospect Deuce Geralds.
Yeah, and, I mean, you look at the close games that Collins Hill won last year, Grayson, Mill Creek. I mean, he made plays in those games where they might not have won without him. You mentioned offensively also. What do you think, though, about the Brunswick kid, he's Kent, setting that decision for July? When he puts it that far in the future, do you think that's because he's still really open-minded, he's going to take these visits, or why do you think it's so far in the future?
July is in the future. I think it's because he wants to go through his evaluation process, to your point. OVs are in May, right? You take OVs in May and June, right? But a lot of times with recruits, sometimes if the school really likes you, they want you to commit on the spot. You feel really good and high on them. So I think it's interesting because he's such a high-end recruit that when he takes these OVs, they're probably going to want him to commit on the spot. It's interesting to see kind of how he goes through the process. I have a funny feeling, I don't have any sources on this, but I have a funny feeling he's going to commit sooner than that. But, again, we'll see what happens there, but I think that's just to go through the OV process.
Certainly. No, very interesting.
Quick question for you, Najee. Where would you see him playing when he gets to college? Where do you see him really making his biggest impact on the field?
That's such a good question. I don't know, because it's like, I wonder, like, I'll have to see him in person, see how he blocks. I definitely think he could be a staple right tackle on the next level, but at the same time, it's like, don't bottle up that talent.
Right.
Like, when he can go out and catch routes and things like that, like, he could potentially be a goal line guy, right?
Sure.
He's that good, and he could be a guy that plays tight end and gets 50 catches a year and over 500 plus yards and close to 5 to 8 touchdowns. So it's just going to be, I think it's going to matter the coach. Which coach can optimize his talent, because it is special and it is rare. So which coach can optimize his talent is going to tell us a lot.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird to be too big for a position. I mean,
No,
when you're
for
300 pounds, I mean, yeah, he can get it done running those routes as a tight end, but man, that is, I mean, he's up at like 6'5", 6'7", and some things listed 300 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a big guy.
That is. All right, last one we'll get into before we get into baseball. Obviously, Cameron Cody from Benedictine officially committing to Clemson. A great story, obviously, on this by Dennis Knight of Savannah Morning News. I think he did a great job, but he actually, Craig, he had a cardiac incident as a freshman. They had to kind of shock him back, to earth essentially, and they had to use a defibrillator to bring him back to life. He ended up falling out, but I think it's so great, just this story. You guys read more about it, obviously, there, but just his ability to go through that adversity and be able to go to really a school that he loves, and he has loved since he was young when he got that Clemson offer. So I think it's a great story. But Max, what more can you say?
I mean, I feel like Clemson produces guys like these year after year, whether it's Shaq Lawson, Cleveland Farrell, Dexter Lawrence. I mean, the defensive line at Clemson is a staple. And I feel like Cameron Cody will make a difference there as well.
100%. You obviously got Peter Woods as well, who's
Exactly.
making a name for him. So what is your thoughts just on the story?
Yeah, Coach Danny Burt was talking about just his return and the impact when he was just previewing last year's season. To me, I think Benedictine might have one of the best defensive lines in the state this upcoming season. They are very talented.
Yep.
Last year, they dealt with injuries on the offensive side of the ball, but they're in that incredible region with Perry, Ware County, Warner Robins. I'm trying to think who else is in there. Who's else in that class 4? Well, anyway, Wayne County, I think, one of the toughest of regions. I just think that Benedictine defensive line, they might have that state championship potential just to make teams one-dimensional and then have all those athletes in the back. They've also had some intriguing transfers coming in and just a lot of big-name recruits.
Yeah, they do. They obviously have Bubba Frazier, who's obviously the athlete and playmaker you're talking about. But, yeah, can they take advantage? You've seen Savannah Christian last year. They had Elijah Griffin, who's now at Georgia, early enrollee, and they had Damon Guyton. Benedictine now has Guyton, and they also have Cameron Cody. So can they take full advantage of having those two stars together?
I mean, with those two, how could they not be one of the top defensive lines in the state?
Easily.
And going along with Cody's recruitment, Clemson has 13 commitments in their 26 class right now.
Yeah.
He's the first defensive line commit for their class. For a school that I feel like consistently produces defensive linemen like they do, it's kind of odd that he's the first one.
It is. You know what's crazy about Clemson? Last year, they had a top 29 recruiting class. They are top 6 in the country currently right now. So they're doing an outstanding job recruiting, and we're only in April.
True.
So to be at that level. But to your point, back to what you were saying, it is interesting, but I think they look for something very specific at defensive line, which is why they have the one. And usually, they like to recruit from the state of Georgia. Go back and look at Rome a few years ago. Stephon Green, right? That's a guy over from Georgia that came here and played here, and they got obviously there as well. So I think they really like the state of Georgia with the beef and the guys and how high end they are, which is why I think they really like to look at a certain recruit.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Barrett Carter defensively also. I mean, very impressive. But yeah, back to my point, just Benedictine this year, good luck trying to run the ball. They're going to be so disruptive.
100%. And then you had another story, obviously, with Destin Matthews from Hebron Christian. He committed, obviously, to Greensboro College. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just been a solid guy for Hebron this year on the baseball field. I mean, they've been going steady this year, about like 14-9, I believe, on the season so far. But yeah, just another good commitment for them as well.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, they're playing really good on the mound. I believe they're in your rankings, Craig. I think top 7 from this past week, if I'm not mistaken.
They're a tough team to figure out because, I mean, they haven't necessarily won the state titles, but yeah, great overall record and definitely a team I'm keeping an eye on. I was pretty crazy with my rankings this last week. I moved around a lot. I wanted to experiment a little bit.
No, 100%. You definitely have to. But, guys, it's going to wrap us up, obviously, for this segment. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to Pilar Rossi about the great story that she's working on, or has already worked on and came out with Harding Dennis. So don't go anywhere. We'll have more on that story right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Our final segment for today, we'll talk to Pilar Rossi, obviously, on her story on Harding Dennis. So, I mean, obviously a traumatic event, to say the least, Pilar. You know, he's throwing the pitch against, Prince Avenue, and boom, he hits it right in the face.
Yeah.
Falls down. I mean, just great story you did, Officer Scortiel. Just what's the latest on that, and obviously just his recovery process?
Yeah, well, to walk through that moment, Harding, he's their best hitter. He's one of their standout pitchers. I got to check in with Coach Matt Oglesby, so he kind of walked me through the whole moment. And leading off that fourth inning, well, the first 3 innings, Harding was having what Coach Oglesby described as his best outing, the best outing of his career with Savannah Christian, cruising through 3 innings, no hits, 7 strikeouts. And then leading off the fourth for Prince Avenue is Bryce Williamson. Bryce Williamson, 6'3", 230-pound beast, and a tight end and defensive lineman for their football team. So you can only imagine the power behind his swing.
Yep.
But he crushes a line drive directly back at the mound, hits Harding in the face. Harding goes down, everyone runs over, and Coach said, you know, as a coach, seeing one of your best players go down like that, like your mind immediately goes to worst case scenario. So they ran over. Harding, being Harding in true Harding fashion, he rolls over, looks at everyone and says, "I ate that one, didn't I?" Followed by, "Did we at least get the out?" So clearly his face, which ended up suffering 7 different fractures, was the least of his concerns, but Coach said that that's just a true testament to who Harding is as both a player and a person.
No, 100%. I mean, you get hit in the face, 7 fractures, and you're like, hey, did we get the out? Did I save the inning? I mean, that's incredible. So that's just his competitive spirit, obviously. I do want to talk about just his recovery because, I mean, this happened last month. He's already back there pitching, and he's doing good. I think he had like a 3-run homer, recently here. Just can you talk about the latest updates, just what he's doing now? I mean, that's a scary injury, but he's right back out there.
Yeah, of course. So that happened Friday, February 21st. He was told that he was going to need reconstructive surgery and that his senior season was likely over. He's committed to Georgia College and State University. So that's not news you want to hear halfway through your senior campaign, that you're done for the rest of your season. But Coach said he had kind of shifted his mentality to just being the best teammate he could be. And then just a day or 2 after getting that initial diagnosis, he got a second opinion, and they said that he wouldn't need surgery and that he could definitely return to the field sooner than expected. So as soon as they heard this news, they went exploring options for face masks that he could wear.
Gotcha.
He settled on a softball mask and then was back at practice that following week. So he only really missed a week of baseball. They did miss him at the plate and on the mound, but they definitely erred on the side of caution. Coach said that they eased him in the lineup as the DH for a couple of games. His first game back against Livette, he actually had 3 hits, including a 3-run homer to give them a late lead. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, he's a huge guy for them at the plate. And then his first game back on the mound was exactly a month after the accident. So he that was a big region matchup against Vidalia, and the series was tied, so it was a must-win Game 3, and they ended up winning and playing one of their best games, and it was definitely a special moment to see him back out there, and a big confidence booster for him to face hitters again before the end of the season and then heading to the collegiate level.
For sure. Craig, I want to bring you in here and just kind of get your perspective on all this as well. I mean, he also has a pretty cool story, Pilar, that you obviously talked about his mom, and then his stepdad is obviously the first base coach there as well. But Craig, I want to bring you in to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah. What did they say just about the second opinion? Because the decision, facial reconstruction surgery, and then he's able to say, no, I'm just going to put this on. I'm going to go to school the next day on Monday, and I'm going to get back there as soon as possible. I mean, that's a big difference between facial reconstruction surgery, the end of your high school career, but then to come back and be able to get that experience before he goes off to college.
Right. I think that initial diagnosis, his face was covered in blood, swollen. I think that's what they thought was best, and they were like, considering the trauma and the severity of the injury, that reconstruction surgery would be the best bet. However, I think they wanted to see if the swelling would go down, and it did, which is what his coach explained. So I think once they saw that the swelling was coming down, I think it was up to him, and he kind of had could exercise his own agency in what he wanted to do. And I think he, based on his reaction when he got hit, he's a guy who cares about the sport, and he just wanted to get back out there as soon as he could.
Yeah, and then he's obviously listed as their best hitter, but he also is able to contribute pitching. So, I mean, even with that protection, he could have gone back out there and just been a hitter for them, moved around. But what do you think about him going back out there to pitch after that traumatic injury?
I think it's brave. I think it shows who he is as, like I said, a player and a person. I think to go back out there and step on the mound and face hitters again after taking one straight to the face, that takes guts. So I think, yeah, it's telling, and I think having that mentality and that courage will take him a long way in his collegiate career.
For sure.
Yeah, what do you feel that this kind of does to inspire his teammates? I mean, they're out there, baseball can be a tough sport, but just to see what he was able to do to come back so quickly, I mean, how does that kind of boost the rest of the team?
Yeah, Coach said the team was definitely a bit shaken up right away. So having Harding come back and be in the lineup first as a hitter was a big deal for them, just to have him at the plate, because that was a loss for them. But then seeing him back on the mound, they played for him that day. They were so proud of him. His parents were understandably nervous. Everyone was nervous, including probably Harding too. But I think it was just a big moment for the team to show that anything is possible, and yeah.
And then what's this recovery, real quick, what's the recovery looking like now that he's not going to have surgery? I mean, he's obviously protected now, but did they say at all? I mean, how long he's going to be dealing with maybe the pain from this?
Not really. I think it's a day-by-day situation. I assume the swelling has gone down, but I'm sure there's still bruising, and I don't know. I haven't seen his face yet, but I mean, he's back in the lineup. He's pitching, so clearly he's okay, and they're wearing the mask to err on the side of caution. But yeah, they played 3 games. They're in a series against Toombs County right now. They fell short the first game, but they won last night, and they'll close it out tonight. So yeah, they're doing well. They're ranked number 9 in our Week 8 ranking. So yeah.
There you have it. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for the story on Savannah Christian. Obviously, Harding Dance. I believe we're going to try to have him tomorrow on the show as well to kind of hear from his perspective. So that's going to do it for this segment. We'll see you guys same place, same time tomorrow right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. Have a great Friday Eve.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.